Hello, and welcome to episode 20 of the Locksmith documentary. Here we have Mertle and Smertal the tortoises, who are 85 years old, and apparently think they need my phone charger more than I do.
Come there, buddy. Let's see. I hope you don't bite.
Not every day you get to see a couple of tortoises just walking around the living room where you're working, but that's the life of the locksmith here. That's what we see. Here is one of the safe locks that we're working on, the internal components. You can see that the craftsmanship of these old safes is just really second to none. Very, very cool stuff to see this old antique stuff. I often refer to the old stuff, they just don't make them like they used to. These safes were built with extremely high quality parts, and they did it almost 100 years ago in some cases when they didn't actually have proper machining equipment to make everything precise and perfect. So they're quite literally works of art, in my opinion, and should be saved and conserved at all cost. Strong arms, safe cracker drill bits, and rigs. You are looking at literally over $2,000 worth of drill bits. Yes, these are highly customized drill bits specifically made for safe crackers and safe and vault technicians by Jeff Velosing, a family-owned business. Strong arm drill bits are what the pros use to drill open vaults, high security containers, antique cannonball safes, and so much more. You can see the length of these drill bits is what's used to penetrate these long and thick doors so that we can get our tools in, and paired with the vac attack drill rig really makes a winning combination. They are even featured in the movie The Italian Job, one of the most realistic safecracker movies ever made. Strongarm is also known for the Strongarm Mini Rig Pro. Check out Strongarm drills for yours today. Now I'm going to show you how the Hinge Tweaker can put some serious cash in your pocket.
Okay, here we are with yet another door problem. And you can obviously see that this is hitting this frame side. And you get it all the way to close. It does latch eventually, but we've got no gap, and we've got big gap. Okay, so we've got to get that shoved over back this way. Oh, what the Hinge Tweaker does is it goes over this hinge right here, and it re-swedges that hinge, and it takes that space back out of the equation right there. Okay, so we're going to take a look at that, and I'm going to go ahead and do that for these. My method is to actually take an airbag and put it in over here so it squeezes the door all the way over. So instead of, swedging like this, where it kind of turns into a V, it actually closes the whole hinge right here. Okay, so it closes the whole thing like this as opposed to like this.
Alrighty, so we're going to take those airbags, push all the air out of them, put them in, and then actually shut and lock the door so that it can't pop open, and then the airbags will shove the door all the way over towards the hinge side, making our adjustment as effective as possible and putting the gap back on the opening side of the door. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that when you're using the Hinge Tweaker, you can tweak it towards the door to take up the gap, and then you can actually bend it back the other way to make the pivot point as far away as possible.
Now we can see we got that gap back over here. Just going over there. Beautiful. And another one bites the dust. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Easy money, easy money. Now I could come out here, and because of the knowledge I have about this door, this is now almost a $200 job. That money goes to my bank account because I have knowledge of the tools that I use to help me do my job. Thanks, Hinge Tweaker. You made me some easy money today.
Check out the Hinge Tweaker and keep one on your truck. The sponsor for the next segment is going to be Frontline Defense. Make sure you check out Frontline Defense full-length latch guards for all of your access control jobs. They really secure your location.
Okay, so we have some very special, unique problems here. Notice that the door will not open. We've actually picked it with the leashy tool and made a key. The key is working, it's spinning. I can actually hear it or feel it moving something back and forth. So I'm guessing the internal latch has probably failed. One of two things has happened. Either it's not actually retracting the bolt and I'm feeling a false, but that's a pretty good indicator. I can really feel something moving in and out, and then if I hold a little pressure, I can feel it release. So I really don't think it's the deadbolt. I think it's the latch is just not retracting all the way, but it could be the deadbolt as well. Kind of a weird problem to have, but we're going to do our best to try and figure out what's going on with this thing here. Yeah, I can see it 100%. I can see the bolts moving in and they're retracting, so the deadbolt is absolutely not part of the equation. It is 100% the latch is just not releasing. So let's see what we can do to help that along. There it is. Yep, and there it is. See, the latch is not retracting in all the way. Now, whether or not we have a fix for that, I don't know, but check it out. See, that's how it's like the bolts are actually throwing and they're staying dead, and then they're actually retracting as well. You can see that right in there. So now we got to figure out why isn't that retracting all the way.
Kind of weird that we have a quick set key on a storefront door, but it's like one of those profile cylinders in quickset keyway. We were able to use the leashy tool to pick that open, and then it just pulls out just like a normal profile cylinder does after you remove the set screw from the side. We were able to 100% confirm and identify that the deadbolt and the lock, key, and deadbolt had no part in this equation. It was all because the latch was failing and not being retracted far enough back, which when we operated it from the other side, since this has two sides, one side would work fine and the other side would not. It is simply wear and tear. That part, that internal pot metal or whatever's inside there simply wore down enough to where it's not retracting the latch far enough.
Sealed unit, so there's not a whole lot to work on in there. But we'll see if we can bring it back to life. Okay, so here's what we're finding out about this. With this, when it's designed to go either way, you mount this for one hand or the other hand. Okay, so it's either mounted like this or it's mounted like this. And on this case, the bottom one, it retracts the latch all the way, if you can see that. Okay, it retracts it all the way. If we do the top one, it does not retract it all the way, which is causing the lockout problem. I see no way to adjust this or take it apart. It's all pop riveted together. So we just have to order a new part. Here's the part number right here. Get a new part in there, but you can see that one retracts it all the way. I've tried to configure this thing and flip it around and rehand it, but it's just not going to have it, I don't think. So for now, until we can get that new part in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinstall this so they have a handle at least. I'm going to retract that all the way, and I'm going to cut this piece right here so that they can at least use their door and still lock this piece until I can get a new one in.
So we'll just reinstall this. Again, we have to figure out what we're going to do in the temporary short term to solve the customer's needs. We have to be able to give them access to the door. So our choices are to either leave this off completely, and then they have no way to lock that door and no way to latch it and nothing on there whatsoever. It's obviously just the storm door, so really security isn't that much of a factor, but the customer did request that we put it back in place and that it be locked, so they want that added extra layer of security. So that's exactly what we're going to do. In order to do that, we're going to have to reinstall everything, put everything back the way that it was before, put the case portion back in, and then we're going to put the profile cylinder back in, like so. Put that center screw, that mounting screw, back in place, and then we'll go ahead and test everything, make sure that everything's working. Put the handle back on, just loosen the set screw and then put the handle back in and tighten that set screw up. It's an Allen head screw right on the side of the handle. Fairly simple system and fairly simple setup. Then I'm going to go get my angle grinder and I'm going to chop off the tip of the strike. Be very careful not to get into the door. You can see that we cut just the tip off of that strike, like so. Just be very careful. Do not cut or damage anything else. Make sure you wear proper eye protection. I've got safety glasses on, so none of the debris catches in the face. Now here's our part number. So I take some pictures of this, find the part online, order it up, and we're good to go.
Alrighty, so we've got this working. You can see it's fully retracting now. This was actually what was broke in this portion here, not so much the locking portion. You can lock it, and then you can unlock it with this key as well. So you can see, locked, unlocked. There you have it.
As a small business, RMR, or recurring monthly revenue, is a huge factor and has literally changed the way I do business. Simply by leaving some information about the Halo Pulsar security system can add thousands to your monthly income. Click below.
Okay, so a lot going on with these doors here. Number one, we've got a massive gap on this side, and then not so much of a gap on this side, so we need to hinge doctor the door over. We're going to go ahead and do that. The other problem that they're having is the screws are all stripped out here. So if you can look in there and see, this one doesn't even actually have any screws because that's all busted out. So we're going to take all of this off. This is currently a classroom function door, and it's for a bathroom. And so they use the key. You rotate the key 360 degrees and it permanently locks, or you rotate it 360 degrees the other way and it's permanently unlocked. We're going to change that because they keep having problems with the handles and the levers breaking. So we're going to put a passage grade 1 lever down here, and then we're going to put a double keyed deadbolt up here, and then they'll be able to lock it, and nobody can come in and lock it from the inside because it'll have a key on both sides. So when they need to shut this restroom down, they can go ahead and do that. So we're going to put a door wrap on here to help with the problems with this not having the screw holes, or the screw holes being stripped out and the mounting plate being all messed up in there. So lots of work to do on these doors here. Lots and lots of work to do on these, but we will get it going, and we'll fix everything up.
All right, we're going to use that same trick where we put the airbag in and then use the hinge tweaker to make our hinge adjustment. This next portion is sponsored by Freeman Manufacturing. We're going to be using the Freeman Bullseye jig to install this deadbolt. This is a great jig. It's all metal. It's not like those cheap plastic ones that you get at the hardware store that break the first or second time you use them and don't have enough holding capacity to actually hold and clamp onto the door enough so that the hole saw doesn't take off. I've actually seen doors ruined by those because they don't have the holding capacity necessary to keep it clamped in place without actually damaging the door. And then once your hole saw bites in, it skips and moves and it throws that jig off. Next, we're going to use the Lab Pins Bolt Centering Locator, which is a fantastic tool. I'm showing all the different tools because look at all these different tools that we need for this job. We've got the Major Pitbull door strike tool that's going to crush the door and basically force in the dimple needed to install the deadbolt latch. So it's a latch installation tool and it works extremely well. You can see there's the piece that goes on the inside. It's like a die and it really helps out. Now, once you get done using that tool, you'll have to re-drill the hole. You'll see me using that 1-inch hole saw again and I'm re-drilling that hole because it bends the hole and turns it into a little bit of an oval. So taking that step now is going to save me time later. You're going to have to do it one way or the other. Then I find out where that latch locator has made its indent on the frame, and I go ahead and drill that hole out in the frame, and that latch locator centers everything perfectly so that everything aligns immaculately. These are the tools required to do this job properly, and you'll notice that I have hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of tools being put to work here, with the jig, with the Hinge Tweaker, with the Pitbull, Major Pitbull, or the Major Pitbull tool. All of these different tools help me do my job and help bring doors like this that get used and abused back to life. Now you can see we've got the latch installed for the deadbolt, and now I'm just installing the rest of the deadbolt. This is a double keyed dexter. Super slick little helpful tip right here. If you've ever had to install these the door wraps, these stainless steel door wraps, they can be a real nightmare to try and get pressed on there real tight. So a tip for you is to go ahead and, if there's an additional lock, go ahead and lock that, lock the door shut with an airbag in there, and then go ahead and inflate the airbag, and it will push this all the way over, and then you can get your screws in here, and you can get your screws in here, and look at how tight that sucker is. I mean, that is tight. That's as tight as you're gonna get it right there. And everything lines up nice and clean. Save some time, save some money, save everything else. Thanks for watching. Okay, so that's a quick tip for you. I'm gonna peel the plastic off of this Don Joe door wrap, and then we're gonna pull the lever off of the door, the existing lever that's just been beat non-stop and consistently. The screws are completely stripped out, so the main reason for the door wrap is to get those threads back. That's what that's going to do for us, is it's going to give us those threads back. And again, it's taken me years and years and years to figure all of this stuff out, and I'm giving you these tips because they'll make your job go faster. And I've found that this is a huge time saver. Just putting that air wedge in there and pressing the Don Joe door wrap all the way over is going to save you a ton of time, and it's just going to make your job go so much smoother and better. It's going to help everything line up better. It's going to help everything go more smoothly for you. And trust me, it is a huge, huge tip that it's taken a while for me to figure out, but here we are, and it's working now. So now I'm testing the latch. The latch is working just fine, checking everything out there. Another big tip that I'll give you is whenever you install these door wraps, I don't know why it is, but there's always going to be something that's just barely off by a 1/16 of an inch or even smaller. It's just teeny tiny. So I actually throw that jig back on and just run your hole saw right back through there and open everything up. This is another tip that's going to save you a ton of time rather than trying to fight and argue and move and shimmy that door wrap to line up perfectly with the original installation hole. Take 2 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever it takes, throw that jig back on there, re-drill that hole out, and I suggest you use a carbide tipped hole saw. Carbide tipped 2 1/8 inch hole saw, run that back through there, and again, the time you take doing that will save you 5 or 10 minutes of fumbling later. And there you have it. Now everything's working perfectly fine. We have successfully installed a deadbolt, double keyed cylinder deadbolt on this bathroom. We've put the door wrap on so that the screws now have something to bite into, and that area is now extra reinforced. And we've solved a lot of their problems by putting that passage latch on the bottom and the double key deadbolt up top.
Hey, this is Wayne here, and I am with Greg and Pacific Lock Company. We are at HQ headquarters here, the future of padlocks and the future of electronic access. With this access box that we have here, this is going to redefine the way locksmiths and security professionals actually install, use, manage, and apply electronic access and access control to physical security in buildings like this one here. We're actually going to be installing electronic access on your HQ facility right here. Tell us a little bit about this, Greg. How did you come up with this, and what are some of the main features for this?
Yeah, so a few years ago, Wayne, we realized that access control just isn't where it needs to be today. With all the technology that's capable, Bluetooth, NFC, and all of that, that I know we can build a better product, much smaller, much easier for people to install. But ultimately, we want people to make money. That's what we're all in this to do, and this little guy here makes access control really easy for anybody, right? Don't care who you are, where you are on your path of becoming an access control expert. I think this is the greatest place to start, and ultimately to stick with us, as we carry on with the Pack Blue technology into different things. So, compact size, affordability, super easy to configure, super easy to install, and just a tremendous amount of capability in this little guy right here.
Absolutely, and the number one problem with access control, are afraid of it. The installers are afraid of it, and the users want a product that's easy to work with. You've solved all of those problems here. You've made it to where we don't have to have an electrician. This actually powers the electronic strike itself, or the magnetic lock, or whichever locking system you're going to be using. We don't need a power supply anymore. We don't need an electrician anymore. This is literally a plug-and-play unit. And then on the back side, the user aspect side, the app and the interface is so user-friendly. You can set up schedules, you can set up timed E-keys, you can set up so many things so easily with a few clicks on your phone that you've solved all of the complicated issues in this box.
Yeah, we're trying. We're hopeful. We think we've done it, but as you know, there's always improvements to make to a device. We enjoy that we can get feedback from customers that we have and say, hey, what about this, what about that? And I think that's the other benefit to PackLock is being a small family business, we're controlling the technology. We've built the firmware, we've built the app, we've built the back end. It's not being done in India, it's not being done in China.
Right.
It's being done by us. So if you called us up and said, hey, I'm having this issue, or hey, can you do this feature? Hey, can you build a new board?
Right, somebody will pick up the phone.
And you can talk to us.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. That's why I really like supporting Pacific Lock Company and Pack Blue and all of the things that you're doing. It's done right here in the USA. Really a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Wayne. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
As an ACE instructor, we took a trip down to Banner Solutions to teach some classes.
Hey Edward, this is Wayne, and we are at Banner Solutions taking electronic access control installation. How was your class today?
It was wonderful. I came in with zero information on what we had going on here, and you gave a lot of detail, a lot of information, and especially it's very
Real world. It's not classroom. We should be a real world situation.
When you come into the real world problems and solutions.
It's good. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Here's some of our students engaging with the PackLock system and Pack Blue.
Alrighty, guys. So this is going to be how to sell and install electronic access control part 1. We're going to go through pretty quickly and kind of condense 2 classes into one. Basically, we can stretch this out to an 8-hour class if people are pretty slow and we're in a really big setting, or we can move it along pretty quickly. But we're going to go from everything from a simple standalone access control installation, maybe an alarm lock, Schlegel code, something super simple, super basic, residential or commercial, all the way up to full-blown access control on solid glass doors that don't have any mounting hardware, right? We want to start from the beginning, give you guys a good base, and then go all the way to what's actually possible with some of the new things that are available now. We'll cover some mag locks, we'll cover how to install electronic strikes, how to cut those in, where each one of those is going to be applicable, cylindrical lever set, electrified installation, pretty much every aspect that we possibly can across the board, and how to apply those systems to the doors. Because if you can't sell it, you're not going to be installing it. That's all there is to it. You also have to be able to solve the customer's problem when they can't describe what the problem is that they have, right? The customer comes to you and they want to lock up these 2 doors right here. Okay, well, we have 2 vertical linkage exit devices. That's going to be a completely different setup as far as electronic access control is concerned than a single standing door, or an aluminum storefront, or a solid glass Herculite. All of those are going to have individual solutions, and you have to understand what those solutions are so that you can explain it to your customer so you can solve the problem correctly. Okay?
Alrighty, I'm Wayne here, and we are at Banner Solutions at the trade show and education event. I'm here with Aaron, who just took the Google Black Book of Secrets class. What did you think of the class today?
It was amazing. It really helped me understand where I'm standing with my business and how to improve it. It helped me find where I'm not good at and how to make it better and where to find sources to improve myself.
Absolutely. We went over reviews today, and what's the number one thing that you learned? Or number one thing that you took away from today's class?
It's a bit hard to say one specific, but pretty much worked very good with Google. It's 92% of our searches. Exactly.
You gotta be on Google.
Exactly. Make sure that you have good reviews, always pictures, update as much as you can.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for taking the class today. Have a great day, Aaron.
So, commercial door and frame installation class. This is presented by myself, Wayne Winton. It's one of my Wayne's Lock Shop productions. I take a lot of videos and photos, high definition stuff that comes from the field. This is not one of those classes where we have everything where it's perfect, because we all know that in the field, out in the real world, things happen. Doors aren't straight, walls aren't straight. There's rebar in there. They fill the frame with high tensile concrete instead of mortar, and you get your day ruined. So, I'm going to show you how to deal with a lot of those different things today. I do have a little mini door frame right here. Asa Abloy was kind enough to send this to me. So we can do a little bit of hands-on stuff here for those that want to go ahead and do so. It's going to be a great class. We'll get through everything, and I hope everybody learns something from it. So thank you for taking it. We'll go around the room, introduce who you are, what company you're from, and let me know why you took this class today, please. Go ahead and start right here.
Alrighty, now is the time. So we've got a pretty full class today. That's a good thing. This one's actually going to be hands-on, so we're going to go through the PowerPoint slides. We'll see a lot of stuff that I can't show you any other way. I kind of let you look over my shoulder. We look at things how they are in the field. It's dirty, it's raw, it's not installed properly. We got to go fix things. That's how the real world works. The real world doesn't work in an immaculate setting like a classroom. The hotel has also been kind enough. We worked out a deal where Select Hinge has sent a hinge out, so we want to thank Select Hinge for that. The hotel is going to let us work on one of their doors, so we want to thank them for that. And then Banner Solutions has kind of set everything up for us to be able to do all that. So it takes several moving parts in order to get these things together, but it works out for everybody. You guys get a hands-on experience, the hotel gets a brand new hinge on one of their doors, and Banner gets to sell some hands-on education. So it works out for everybody. My name is Wayne with Tri-County Locksmith Service. I've been in the industry for about 13 years now, and I do a ton of aluminum storefront work. This is a great way to invest in yourself, and this is a great way to make money because a lot of people don't work on it. If it's not a conventional hollow metal or wood door, they don't want to deal with it. There's less options. You can't buy the parts at the hardware store, and there's just fewer pieces that actually work on these doors, especially when it comes to electronic access. There's only like 2 or 3 locks that even work that you can just apply standalone access to these doors. So it's a good thing to know about. It's a good, the more you can separate yourself and do things that are less conventional and that fewer people can do, the higher rates you can charge and the less competition you have.
This was a great opportunity because here's my students actually getting the opportunity to get some hands-on training and education right here at the hotel. And right now, because it's inside, we're going to have to remove these pivot hinges. So that's what these guys are doing now, is they've got the wrench and we're removing the top and bottom pivot hinges from the door itself. Now we're getting ready to start prepping the door. We've got the hinge on the door, and now we're drilling for those through bolts so that they can mount the through bolts and put those through the door here. This is an area over kind of by the pool So again, just really fantastic opportunity to get some hands-on training, hands-on education. These students really enjoyed that aspect of it. And here's one of the students putting some self-tapping screws on the frame side of the door for this select hinge, continuous hinge. Again, it's just so nice, and it worked out so well to have the hotel allow us the opportunity to install this hinge on one of their doors. They get their door fixed, and the students get a hands-on presentation.
Alrighty, so we got the hinge put on the door for you guys here. See? Very nice and clean. Everything works. Door comes shut each and every time. Everything works really, really well. There you go, man.
Thanks for hanging out on this episode of the Locksmith documentary, episode 20. You get a peek into what it is that I do. You can see how much we travel, how much we're trying to teach and give back to this industry that has given us so much, and see some of the weird things that we see. I never thought a tortoise would actually be taking my tools, or that I would engage with one on a job, but Mertle and Smertal were definitely quite the characters in this. Tune in next time for the next episode.